Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we will be taking a look at the political developments of the country, especially, of course, with regards to Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and its chairman Imran Khan, who again did not appear before the NAB courts today, even though a notice with this regard was issued to him 2 days earlier, claiming that there is an illegal action being taken with regards to an investigation or an inquiry, and that it's illegal to change it. And instead of going to the courts, he talked about how the Islamabad High Court had given him till the 22nd of May to get pre-arrest bail in several cases. And it's important to note, of course, this is coming after the incidents of May 9th and then also the previous arrest of the PTI chairman, after which the Supreme Court once again granted the PTI chairman relief in terms of his appearances and a pre-arrest bail as well in a number of cases. And this is important in terms of the kind of activities that have been taking place since then, particularly with regards to the kind of violence and targeted and planned actions of May 9th that were taken by protesters and miscreants. Again, something that the PTI chairman claims was not the works of his party, but of course with regards to the way that the investigation is also continuing and what the evidence seems to be pointing at, it may be otherwise. Of course, the Prime Minister and the military institutions have reiterated the fact that they are not going to let this go, and that anybody who's been involved in this is going to meet their consequences. And this is also important in terms of the kind of impact that this has on Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and the future of the PTI chairman as well, with talks of disqualification or banning the party also going around. The PTI chairman also claims that there are possible arrests also on the horizon, with of course the chairman also given 24 hours yesterday with regards to reports of terrorists being holed up in Zaman Park, and of course Punjab police also surrounding the area. And it's important to note here with regards to the kind of statements that have been coming in from PTI as well, that they keep talking about how certain armed elements were part of the protests and they got along the situation and caused the entire ruckus and violence that happened on May 9th, and it was not the PTI who did so. So it's important also to understand where the situation is proceeding and what sort of action can possibly be taken now that that time is also up, and the planned rally of the PTI in Muridke, in which a new plan of action was going to be announced by the PTI chairman, also was cancelled and wasn't possible after permission was not obtained by the PTI and was not given. And with regards to this, of course, we want to understand the political future of the country. Earlier, of course, we know that the entire controversy was around May 14th, and then, of course, the kind of decisions of the benches that have been going on and the rifts between judiciary and parliament. Again, of course, that line is gone, but also in terms of the ECB plea that is continuing and the deviance that perhaps the situation is pointing towards from the possibility of dialogue between political parties also seem to be increasing, and it seems that that may be less and less of an option. But whether or not we can also possibly look at any sort of political stability in the country in the coming days is something that we can hope for, and we'll try to understand furthermore what possibilities exist regarding that. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi. We've also been joined by our guests online, Dr. Niaz, Murtaza, senior analyst, and Sajid, Tarar, who's also a senior political analyst. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being a part of the discussion. Let me start with you, Mr. Sajid, with reference to what we're discussing, particularly, of course, in terms of the role that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is playing in terms of the kind of actions that the miscreants have taken after the arrest of the PTI chairman, and then in terms of condemnations and responsibility with regards to those who were involved in such violence. It seems that whatever has happened still perhaps is not being taken very seriously or being spoken about very seriously by the PTI chairman, while at the same time we keep on hearing news of more and more people parting ways with Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, including the former climate change minister Malik Amin Aslam. And this is, of course, big news to Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf as well. Do you think that the party or the chairman is understanding the situation at the moment, and where do you think the future of the party stands in light of what is going on?
First of all, thank you so much for having me in your show. I want to condemn what has happened. Optics, where the world has been watching what is going on in Islamabad and Lahore and Peshawar. Very embarrassing, very gruesome, matter of fact. And I don't think this is politics. This was clearly terrorism. It should have stopped. And right now, matter of fact, that the people those have done it, they need to be punished severely. The world is concerned right now, matter of fact, because reason Pakistan is not an ordinary country. Pakistan is atomic power. I mean, say if this would have happened in Burma or Nepal, probably people didn't care, but everybody care right now because Pakistan Army, which is a symbol of the Federation of Pakistan, the only institution which has always stepped up, regardless they are earthquakes or floods, and plus the precedent has been set up by the PTI. There is a very dangerous setup. I mean, it's a new generation. Instead of teaching them to work towards digital Pakistan. Again and again, that they have been taught, doing jihad. This is not a siyasat, this is a jihad. Do we need a jihad in Pakistan? Or even then, if you need it, why don't you fight against literacy and fight against the poverty in Pakistan? This is very gruesome, and I definitely condemn, especially the people those have given their lives for Pakistan, the martyrs of Pakistan, and I was devastated. I was shocked, and I definitely want to condemn. This is not a politics. This is and again and again, the PTI has been saying that we have been a very peaceful protest and something. No, even then, when the chairman was leaving towards Islamabad, he was saying that if something happens to me, you have to come up. And he always repeatedly said, "The hakiki azadi, aapne chhin kar leni hai azadi." So this is chhinna meanings, is violence. It's a violent word. It's not a peaceful word. So matter of fact, I'm I was very shocked, and not only myself, every capital of of the entire world, they were watching it. First of all, we were facing the economical issues, political instability, judicial crisis, you name it, and on the top of it, the only sole and only institution left to protect Pakistan that was challenged, and there were, and not only this, when the chairman left Islamabad, the minute he reached Lahore, and kind of press conference he did, and kind of words he used, that's not politics. I won't say that politics. To me, is politics is the word of politics is the game of making relationship, some giving and taking, and coming into the middle grounds and adjusting yourself. This is not
Right.
politics. I definitely condemn that.
Right, absolutely, I understand that. Dr. Niaz, with reference to, of course, the kind of possible threats that the PTI leadership keeps on pointing towards to its party include, of course, the possibility of disqualification, the possibility of the PTI chairman's arrest, of course, banning the party, and there's, of course, parallels being drawn to terrorism, and, of course, the miscreants of May 9th are going to be tried by military and anti-terrorism courts. And then also there is, of course, the news that keeps on coming in, with more and more people deciding to leave the party on the basis of the incidents of May 9th, including the former climate change minister now. With reference to all of these, what do you think possibly is the biggest problem currently that is being faced by the party or the PTI chairman?
Well, I think what the PTI did on May 9th is, of course, very, very condemnable. And, besides being condemnable, I think it's becoming quite costly for it, because you can feel the winds changing their direction now. Even, anchors, analysts who are very supportive of PTI, still overall supportive, are starting to raise questions about, whether the miscreants should be weeded out and punished and all. So I think the biggest loss that the PTI had incurred is that it had this image of an innocent boy who could not do anything wrong, a very ladla baby which could do anything wrong, and people would just say, oh, just look at this naughty boy, and so on. But now it is being treated like a spoiled adult, and people are starting to question its politics. So I think the biggest loss has been the loss of the narrative, which was just so positive, in a lot of sections of the mainstream media, and that's going to change. That's starting to change. And of course, the people who did all that on May 9, they should be punished. But then let's not also go overboard. I think military courts should be out, and whatever is done should be done in a very transparent manner through proper trials, through fair and free trials, so that there is no question that it was all staged as it happened from 2016 to 2018 against the PMLN, because we are seeing many of the same things, the same tactics being used now in the reverse direction. So I think there is a need to strike a balance. Certainly, PTI should be brought to justice. For 10 years, it's followed an extremely obnoxious brand of politics, populism, nationalism, and just the tactics, the lies that it uses. And it's time that the balloon is punctured, but it should be done politically and not through these kind of heavy-handed tactics that are also being used. So, terrorism is easy to apply to anybody and everybody. We need to define it properly, and we need to have proper evidence because there is still a huge difference between TTP and PTI. It's gotten involved in a lot of destruction and so on, and it should be punished for that under arson laws, under the laws for destruction of public property, etc. I think terrorism is going a bit too far, and certainly military courts would be too far too.
All right. And Farrukh, I'd also like to take your opinion on that. But add to that, what I wanted to ask you with regards to the PTI chairman also speaking to international media. And we, of course, know that a lot of what has happened since May 9th is also being covered extensively internationally too. And there's, of course, reports that keep coming out of the country that don't seem to present it in the best of lights possible. At the same time, we also hear the PTI chairman speaking. Do you think that that also is affecting the way the country is being looked at, and if so, is that happening in the direction that we'd like or not?
Right, Sana, I think that Imran Khan Sahab keeps on contributing to the image of the country, and that is, of course, as you have pointed out, is not positive one. What happened on May 9th is also harrowing tale of self-destruction. And I think that had it not been similar cases elsewhere, for example, in America, we saw, what happened on January 6th. At that time also, these concerns that Sajid Tarar Sahab was actually raising regarding nuclear safety and all that. If you have seen or read Bob Woodward's book on that episode, you'll see that General Milley had to actually talk to the Chinese colleagues as well to assure them that there is no imminent danger of an attack or a meltdown within the US. Similarly, I think these concerns are there, they will be, but I think now we have proven that we still are standing despite that kind of threat to the country. So I'm not that concerned about the international image at this moment. My concern is that Pakistan is a country not of 4,000 people or 3,000 people that my president was actually talking about, but Pakistan, according to the new census survey, is a country of around 240 million people, right? And in what shape are the others? This is the question that nobody seems to be asking. If you read or pick up the local newspapers, and I mean vernacular, the newspapers that report the local news, you will be surprised at the number of suicides and attempted suicides that have significantly gone up. But you will not find any comprehensive data on that because nobody is looking at them. Similarly, these days we keep on seeing polio advertisements, anti-polio campaign advertisements on television. Nobody will be able to tell you at this moment what is the state of affairs there. Similarly, this matter of rising inflation and how it has killed people, common people, and how many might have actually died due to lack of nourishment is something that our media doesn't seem to be reporting on. What our local media does, and I tell you, I could have actually endlessly gone on to blame Imran Khan for every evil in this country, but look at the way our electronic media is being managed. The devil lies not only in detail but in the framing of things as well. For example, Prime Minister of Pakistan gives a speech of half an hour in which he touches upon many things from economy to climate change and whatnot, and the media just takes out one nugget that is Imran specific and makes it the headline. This is how you actually frame the national narrative, that it becomes somehow the war between two narratives and two individuals, not the story of 240 million people. And because of this hypocrisy, because of this mismanagement, and trust our elite to ignore the entire country and keep on indulging in self-pity. Look what happened to poor us. But the problem is that is also coming from a position of privilege, because the media men who are sitting deciding what should happen in the media newsrooms or on the screens, and similarly all city-based people, especially the richer ones or more influential ones, they are self-absorbed. They don't want to look beyond, and because that is happening, they don't want to spare any brain cells for the state of affairs that is there. Then they keep on projecting. Remember, there's a term being used, project Imran Khan. Let me talk about the other projection. When I start projecting my feelings onto you, and at this moment I think that what is happening is our entire elite is trying to project their own desires, and particularly, especially people who are still fans of Imran Khan's politics. They are projecting everything onto the poor man on the street. Remember, on May 9th, it was a small bunch of people that actually destroyed so many properties. But then the narrative plays out, the media keeps on insinuating that this, the entire country might be up to fight against the state of Pakistan. And that, by the way, then actually is used as a trailer, a promotional trailer on Indian news channels when Narendra Modi's party is fighting elections in Karnataka, and their channels are not covering that election because they can lose, but they keep on playing what is happening to Qaid-e-Azam's house, to Colonel Sher Khan, or M.M. Alam's replica of his plane. And this is how they keep on strengthening their narrative that, look, Modi must have done something good, Pakistan is in deep trouble. I mean, someday we have to realize that this entire story of privilege in this country has to end. Otherwise, we will keep on destroying generations upon generations, Sana.
Absolutely. Mr. Sajid, the situation with regards to the PTI chairman, of course, is sensitive because of all of these issues and the repercussions it has on the people and the country. But even more so, when we talk about how we move forward, we keep on talking about strengthening of institutions, strengthening of the constitution, democracy, and of course, being able to move ahead in a manner which is in line with the kind of political situation we want to see in the country. However, it doesn't seem so. Just yesterday also, we've been hearing more deadlines and more ultimatums. There was one coming in from the Punjab government with reference to a number of terrorists being holed up in Zaman Park. That has passed and we haven't seen any consequence yet. And then we also saw the PTI chairman claiming that he's going to talk about the next plan of action in his rally in Muridke, which of course got cancelled, but we haven't heard from that. And we keep on hearing such statements from PTI in the past as well. Is this something that has just now become political rhetoric and part of what we hear in the news? Or do you think there's going to be actual value in systems, and especially those systems of justice that we would like to see?
Right now, if you personally ask me, the entire world has been looking at your judicial system and it seems like it was a joke. Right now, what you need, you earlier said in your question, you need to strengthen your institution. And plus, I'm a law student, and to me is punishment has to be severe. What has happened to in last 3-4 days or last week or whatever reason, because if you don't, if the institutions don't offer or strictly strong punishments, the people will be keep repeating it. So make sure your institutions take place. Earlier I was said the military courts, because the other courts, judicial system, like I told you, it's a joke. People think about it, it's not working. So the military courts have to step up and deliver justice. And then the next thing is this: your economy, elections. Everybody keeps saying the election, election, election. First of all, I strictly believe there must be a level playing field at the same time. Justice has to be delivered. What has happened in 2018 or before intentionally kept certain politicians out of the elections. So there is no level playing field right now. So I definitely believe in justice has to be done. The culprits, those have done this damage to the state. This was the damage against not only Pak army, it was against the state. So they have to come to the justice and make sure the kids are not playing the games. This is not a game, it's a state. They have been burning ambulances. Earlier I was saying, especially in the country where the inflation rate is 40%. And not only this, I would definitely request that all the damages PTI is supposed to pay for that, because all of their workers, they have done the damage to the country, which is economically suffering. These people, those are culprits. They need to pay for all these damages and ambulances and buses and all of this damage. And then you have to start educating people about the politics. Right now, they don't know the politics. They have been brainwashed towards jihad, not towards the politics. In politics, you don't go there and burn the corps commander's house. You don't make fun of the corps commander's the pants and the size of his body or something. This has become a joke. The world has been watching it. And like earlier said, the Colonel Sher Khan and the Aziz Shahid Bhatti or something, the martyrs of the nations, and they make fun of it and they burn them things. So, one step at a time. I believe the justice need to be served at this point, because your judicial system is not working. I definitely recommend the military courts have to step up and fix it. And then not only this, focus on the economy. Right now, if you personally ask me, none of the political party has a roadmap to economy. You are not thinking about exporting anything. You are not thinking about manufacturing anything here. The entire country is just waiting for the aids and the packages and loans. This is not how the country has been managed. Or at the same time, since I'm sitting in Washington, D.C., everybody is looking towards the money from the overseas Pakistanis. Right now, matter of fact, the chairman of the PTI, each time you talk about it, he said that I will bring the overseas Pakistanis here and then everything will be fine. How it is possible that, first of all, you took the money from America, then China, and now you're looking at the overseas Pakistanis. You have eyes on our retirement packages. Make sure you have some kind of concrete plan in effect. Make sure your kids are studying e-commerce. People are talking about, like earlier I said, they should learn about digital Pakistan instead of just TikTok and the other the useless social media. So none of the leaders have provided any roadmap to economy, how to fix it once for all. So at the same time, judicial and economical and democratic reforms that need to be taken place. They should need to know what is the real democracy is about. You sit on the table and talk about it. Everything shouldn't be according to your own dreams and plans. You give and take. Right now, matter of fact, according to my information, when the dialogue was going on for the election, they came to the census, but later on they were denied. So make sure you give and take and come to the census. I know that there's a popularity, but at the same time, there's your case of 4 years of governance of Pakistan. Last 4 years, what have you delivered? It is very embarrassing. Matter of fact, before you had a clean slate, but right now there are a lot of people like myself. They know what happened in last 4 years. Pakistan was in isolation. Pakistan, more loans were taken. A lot of corruption took place. So that has to be discussed as well.
About the issue of popularity, because I wanted to talk about it next. Dr. Niaz, there is something that the PTI chairman again has recently quoted with regards to his popularity, and we kept on talking about different surveys or what sort of is the basis of that popularity. And it seems that there is one that the PTI chairman thought was worthy enough to be quoted, and I believe, if I'm not wrong, it was by Republic Policy think tank, which said that the party enjoys 70% popularity, and this was a poll they conducted from the 10th to the 15th of May in Punjab, without citing the way that they have actually collected data or their sample size or details regarding the participants that were asked. And this is important in terms of the value that the survey in itself holds, but also in the value that the PTI chairman is attaching to such surveys. What does this say?
Well, you can't be sure about surveys even in the US anymore. Forget Pakistan, and especially the one that you are mentioning. It's an unknown agency. First time that I'm hearing about it, and as you said, its methodology is not mentioned. But you can talk about Gallup surveys, which are more well known in Pakistan and which appear regularly, and they are also showing an edge for him. But then we must differentiate between his core support group and then a lot of people who've joined his bandwagon because they thought that the wind was with him and he was popular and so on. But now, because of what has happened, because of May 9th, you can see so many people jumping from the ship, and the reverse thing has happened. Now you can wonder whether it's happening naturally or whether it's the same hands which had initially brought them to PTI, which are now sending them away from PTI. But once this kind of traffic starts, the mood in Punjab, especially, will change dramatically because all these factions that you have, the clans, the families, the extended families, the baradris. The word spreads very quickly that now the wind is blowing in another direction. Should we waste our time? Would our waste be would be wasted? So at this stage, what was looking like an easy a victory for PTI has almost overnight the situation has changed. And from a point of view where the tickets were being sold for 1 crore rupees, you are having a situation where people are now starting to run away from PTI, and this might pick up pace in the coming days. So you can forget about an easy victory for PTI. You will have to start wondering what kind of a party the PTI will be in just like 2 or 3 months. By the time elections are held in October, how many people will still be standing with it? And you're not talking about people at the periphery of the party. There will be a sort of an earthquake at its very core, and you might hear big names very close to Imran Khan, who had been thundering along with him, looking in other directions. A lot of them are already very quiet, even though they are not in jail. Big figures whom you would have expected to be speaking at the moment. So I think the winds have started to change, and the balloon is starting to burst. And now the only question is, what shape the PTI will be left in 2 or 3 months. And if the cases starts, the military courts, which I strongly oppose. There should not be any military courts for civilians. There'll be a big blot on our image and on our conscience. But if they start and people start getting convicted, then there'll be massive traffic from PTI. So I don't know. You can forget about PTI being a very strong political force in the coming months.
All right. Farrukh, adding to that, there is also, of course, the fact that the PTI chairman again did not appear in front of the NAB courts, and this was also something that was asked by the Islamabad court, even though there was a lot of relief given to him with respect to his arrest. But in terms of his cooperation with the NAB inquiry is something that the courts also asked him to do. But he has been citing various reasons with regards to the fact that he did not appear with reference to 22nd of May. Being the timeline given to him by the courts, and then also that the change from an investigation or an inquiry is something that is not legal. Do you think that these are mere excuses, or there's any legal basis to it? And even if so, is this something again that only the PTI chairman can get away with?
Right, Hassan. I think that is true. I think this is exactly the kind of thing that the PTI leader can actually get away with, and this is exactly what we have been seeing in the past as well. Today we saw that there were, from a president and then of course judiciary also, we kept on hearing these voices that perhaps there is some reckoning of damage control regarding their image management. But I think it is too late, right? All these important actors have actually shown that they are so partisan that today the other side is not ready to actually trust that. So even if Imran Khan Sahab convinces a court that there was legitimacy to what he actually was doing, I mean, the half of the country is not going to accept it at any rate. I think there's a possibility that that bubble, the other half that I was talking about, might have swelled beyond that after May 9th. Regarding the excuses that Imran Khan Sahib uses, remember there are other cases in which Imran Khan Sahib doesn't seem to have reacted in a way that he has probably reacted to the case of this trust or NAB. And there's a reason. There are two very important reasons, right? And we have to have a very serious conversation about these issues because as Washington Post's slogan reads, democracy dies in the darkness, right? Right now, the lack of transparency is such, and you have created these humongous silos of privilege that keep on manipulating. For example, in this NAB case, Al-Qadr Trust case, there is a very serious concern that the other person who is named is a Seth, Malik Riaz, right? And he seems to have, a very huge influence over the system, not only Imran Khan. So perhaps when it comes to this case, Imran Khan Sahib knows that if he is indicted, it will go far and it will really crush his integrity as Sadiq Amin, or for that matter, a person who actually represents transparency in the system. Having said that, whatever Imran Khan Sahib is doing, I think it is short game in the long run. He is gone, his party is gone. I think I don't mean it negatively. I don't mean that there is going to be any threat to his life. But when it comes to political career, it seems to have actually come to an end. I don't think it is sinking in right now, but it will sink in very soon. Okay. Regarding the overall, I just wanted to actually build on the debate about transparency. There are serious questions, Sana. The biggest problem in this country is that because we kept on fighting a war and because we had very troubled times of late, we have actually stopped asking the right questions because there's a media monster that I actually talked about earlier, that it somehow forces you in one direction and it doesn't want you to look in the other. But what exactly is happening? There are people who have actually increased their power without you looking at it. And now they are so camera shy that if news stories actually are presented about them, news channels actually kill the story. Malik Riaz is one, there are others as well. Another gentleman who recently went and met Imran Khan, another businessman from Karachi. The question right now is, how is it that in the past 20 years, these people kept on getting richer, incredibly richer, right? And then there are people associated with them who seem to actually play a role in Pakistan's A, politics, or B, media, or then any kind of opinion making, circuit. And then the question is, why is it that certain businesses, very powerful businesses, have partners in Ajit Doval's son, when it comes to businesses. So you have to understand how these things are playing out and how they are going to affect your country. If you don't want transparency, then let us actually tell ourselves that we don't want democracy in the country. Otherwise, someday, we will have to ask this question and there'll have to be this reckoning. I believe that every Pakistani loves this country as much as I do, and I have never doubted anybody's loyalty to this country or love for this country. Fair warning, I think I have never loved anything more than this country in my life, and I can actually go for a polygraph test for that as well. But regarding this overall situation, if there are people who love this country and might have actually tolerated all these compromises for a long time because of one reason or the other, someday you'll have to stand up, actually stand up, not against the state institutions, but these dark actors who keep on playing havoc with your national interest.
Absolutely, and that's extremely important. And we hope that the kind of love that you're talking about is shared by the people and our decision makers as well when they think about what their next action is. Mr. Sajid, the situation that we're talking about right now also points towards accountability and consequence. And for a long time, since the former Prime Minister's ouster, we keep on hearing the fact that this is something that needs to happen, and again that it doesn't really happen in terms of whatever statements that have been coming in from the PTI, whatever actions have been there. But it seems that perhaps when we talk about May 9th, that both the military and the political leadership are on the same page and aligned with the fact that consequence needs to exist in terms of what has happened. But how will that link be established in terms of the responsibility that the PTI chairman has within this situation and within these incidents, particularly when there is, of course, a huge mob involved, or if there are non-state actors involved, and then also, of course, with the kind of high political tensions that we see. I'm glad you spoke about how you're a student of law as well, so perhaps you can explain to us how exactly will that happen and what sort of possible consequences can exist for the PTI chairman.
First of all, I wanted to go back and I wanted to, since we were talking about the polls, they were shown and, the flown all over on the media. That when I did some research on it, that the company is 6 months old and only 1,200 people. They are very new company. It has no credibility or something. But at the same time, I wanted to mention the words Wall Street Journal's article 2 weeks back. That what they have wrote it in there that yes, he's popular, but they have said he's reckless. His ideas are radicals and impractical ideas at the same time. So not only he's popular, they are trying to say that he's dangerous at the same time. So you are saying how it needs to be taken. I wish what has happened. First of all, the chairman was saying that I was in the prison. I was in the jail. I have no idea about it. They had stuck my head and I have lost my memories. No, but when you were leaving from Lahore, you have instructed it that I'm going there and I might get arrested and you have to go and fight for the Hakiki Azadi. So you cannot say that you were not aware of it. You have been preparing them psychologically. You have been preparing them. Azadi milti nahi hai, छीन के ली जाती है. बाहर निकलो, ये करो वो. और दूसरा सबसे बड़ी बात है, what I mentioned it, or in the open gatherings you have threatened the judges, you have openly threatened the other administrations, and so now you cannot walk away from it. You have to own it. So, but I wish, first of all, even then the Chief Justice of Pakistan has requested him over and over again to condemn it. I didn't condemn. So he has to me is this would be the wise suggestion. He should own it. He should help the government. He should help the Pak army to identify the culprits and bring them to justice. This is how, what to me is basically when there's a wound up there, you have to stop the bleeding. Right now the bleeding is going on, and if we don't put the bandage on it, this bleeding will happen again. I mean, so these same kids, they will be encouraged. Next time, God knows what they will do it. So first of all, justice need to be delivered. And second thing is this, he need to learn how to work with other political parties, how to sit on a table and, give and take. What are the political values? Right now, you personally asked me, resigning from the assemblies, just breaking up the assemblies, having, if it's the election commissioner is not by his choice, he doesn't talk to them, he give them names. If the if the judges are not in his favor, he said the justice is not delivered. So this is not how it works. If you see it right now, he's scared to go to the jail. Zardari has been gone to jail. Mr. Nawaz Sharif has gone to jail because if you are a political worker, you are not supposed to be scared from the jail. This is part of the package. This is byproduct of the politics. So the thing is right now, if you personally ask me, to me, as the system is broken, the way the judicial complexes has been attacked, and the government was just hiding somewhere. Our institutions have been hiding. This is not how to do it. Right now, basically, what is the judicial reform earlier talking about it? Under given circumstances, if anybody goes to the court with the 5,000 people, the justice will just bend all over. The justice will come out of the court with the register. So this is not how this is not how the country has been run. This is not how the judicial system works. There are two laws. And the matter of fact, the chairman of PTI always said there are two different kind of laws. But yes, he has proven there's a one law working for him and one law for anybody else. If I go to the court, what do you think the court will wait for me for half a day? Other day I was surprised when in Lahore High Court they opened up and they kept waiting for his wife and himself. Why they are not doing for the others? Other day he went to the Supreme Court and he was taken to the rest house and Mercedes car was ordered for him. What do you think that is that the same kind of the laws for the other citizens? Because he is still accused. I'm not saying that he has done something, but accusations are there, charges are there. So that what happens, make sure that your judicial system is working for equally for every citizen of Pakistan. To me,
Right.
is right now, if you personally ask me, Pakistan need an open heart surgery. It's not just a reform. A strict decision has to be taken place. Systems are not working. Matter of fact, systems are collapsing. Not only economically, politically, morally at the same time. You need
Right,
two things.
absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely, and I understand the urgency and the importance that you're pointing towards. And Dr. Niaz, in terms of justice and accountability, I also want to talk a little bit more about this because it's important in terms of the kind of rift we've seen between the judiciary and the parliament and the kind of trust deficit that exists within the parliament with reference to the Chief Justice, the benches and the court's decision, and especially with regards to the way that the situation has evolved with the PTI chairman. If there is so much doubt in terms of the credibility of the court, and there's also the plan of reference against the CJP, and then of course the decisions of the Supreme Court earlier have also been rejected by the parliamentarians. In this situation, how are we to proceed with the number of cases that are lined up against the PTI chairman and are processing from the same benches, and then also with regards to important decisions of the constitutions and elections, such as that of the ECP's petition with regards to the April 4th decision as well. And it's important how then the course of these proceedings, with the importance or the significance that is going to be attached by the same parliament to these proceedings in terms of what they believe is justice. How will these two be aligned?
Well, certainly, I mean, the courts have not really distinguished themselves very well or, played a very positive role. Some of the decisions they've given were atrocious. And, the way the benches have been manipulated. But my feeling is with what has happened since May 9th, and, with the winds blowing in another direction, I think that those winds may even reach the Supreme Court, and you may see a different kind of decision making happening there, more balanced decisions coming. The whole narrative has changed in the country within a week. I mean, it's amazing. With even the president now starting to talk about the necessity of holding the miscreants from May 9th to account and so on. So I think you will see institution after in a very different manner, and taking their blinkers off and becoming less partisan. And I think that will be good for the country. But then again, as I said, let's not go overboard. Let's keep out military courts, even anti-terrorism courts, and do all this by strengthening the civilian courts. And yes, certainly, the high courts and the Supreme Court should rise to the occasion and deal with these cases on their merit, and punish help in punishing the miscreants who did what happened on May 9th.
Right, absolutely. Farrukh, with regards to, of course, how we would like to strengthen the processes and the systems, is there any margin at the moment in terms of the kind of situation that exists in the high political temperatures and the situation with the institutions and the political parties for those slow and important steps to be taken that eventually build up to a better system? Do we even have that sort of room or space to allow for that to exist? And if not, then what are the urgent measures that can be taken?
Right. Sana, I don't think that in the short run that is possible. But that's why I keep on telling everybody, keep your eyes on the prize and keep on moving, because I think the kind of country we want to build from these ashes will perhaps take more than one generation. But that's okay. I mean, I consider myself the part of the lost generation, not the one which has led us astray, but the one that falls through the cracks. But that has happened, right? Whether you like it or not, sacrifice will be taken from you, and that has been there. But the humble summation is that right now, if we start doing what we are supposed to do, as opposed to what we like to do, and that's where we end up compromising what we do already, then things will start improving. I keep on talking about checks and balances. There was a role that Supreme Court could have played had the Chief Justice not decided that he is going to first be a politician among his benches. And then similarly, the President, his statement today would have been welcomed had it been actually made on May 9th, right? Similarly, you actually brought up that survey that is important. That survey was conducted in 5 days, and the sample size is known, by the way. It is 100,000.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure that they must have actually sat them down in one room and all of a sudden said, shout Imran Khan Zindabad, and then they did. Sorry?
I said might as well.
Yeah, precisely. And that's how, and ex-policemen actually, who are actually, who own that company. So it is essentially a political job, partisan job, and parties have that kind of situation. But regarding this nexus that I keep on talking about, Sana, especially this, chain of influence from Malik Riaz to Farrukh Gogi to to former First Lady to Imran Khan is important, because it seems that all of a sudden Imran Khan changed his mind before May 9th, and then he provoked people, and then there was this call as well. It seems that it essentially actually connects to our regional politics as well, and one needs to know who is being played by international forces.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Farrukh, for that. Thank you very much, Dr. Niaz, Murtaza, and thank you, Mr. Sajid, Tarar, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. As always, we'll continue the program tomorrow and see what developments happen in the country, and we hope that it is for the better. That's all that we have. See you tomorrow.